We start off this morning in Baltimore, Maryland with Morgan State University head coach Fred Farrier. Morgan State fell to North Carolina Central last week during its homecoming and will travel to Norfolk State this weekend. Good morning, Coach Farrier.
Good morning, Ryan. How are you this morning?
Fine. How you doing, Coach?
Doing well.
Say, last week after the game against Central, you used a golf analogy to summarize what took place. Describe what you meant with the analogy.
I think at this point in time, the last 2 weeks we've been in some pretty close-fought games where we've had some opportunities to make some plays, and what's happening to us is we're making mistakes at critical times, and the mistakes we're making are not necessarily dictated or created by our opponent. They're just mental errors or physical errors, fundamental and technique errors where we're just not doing the things necessary for us to be successful at those particular points in time. So we have to find a way to focus in our guys on their assignments, their alignments, their techniques, their fundamentals, to where at critical moments in a game, those guys are able to execute what's going to be necessary for them to be successful. And, we're fumbling the ball, not where necessarily a defensive player is trying to create a turnover, but just where we let it go. And we're fumbling the ball on a quarterback sneak. Those things are not created by the defense. Those things are where we don't do the necessary things to get under the center, to put our hands in the proper place, to make sure everybody's set before we snap the ball. We're making some mistakes and some other errors, which are communication errors on our part. Where we give up a touchdown early in the game where one kid is playing man coverage and everybody else is playing zone, and it's a communication error, and there's a guy who ends up running free, and they capitalize on it. We make a mistake, critical mistake late in the game where there's simply an alignment error, and those mistakes are created by us where we're not in the right place, we're not on the same page, we're not on the right page. And for me as a head coach and for us as a coaching staff, we have to figure out what it's going to take for us to identify those critical moments and ensure that our practice techniques and our teaching in the classroom setting and our tips and reminders throughout the course of the week to where when each of these guys gets in one of those critical moments or critical situations, they can remember their alignment. They can remember the stance they're supposed to be in. They can remember what their initial steps are supposed to be. They can remember what their responsibilities are and how those change with the different things that they will see to where we can execute, properly at these critical moments in a game. And right now, we're making mistakes at those points in time. We've got a 3rd and 4, or 3rd and 5 opportunity on offense, and, we feel like we've got a good play call, and we jump off sides. And those types of mistakes don't have anything to do with our opponent. And our guys have to do a better job of locked in. I have to do a better job, and our coaching staff has to do a better job of getting our guys locked in and ensuring that they understand what they're doing, how they're doing it, what they're supposed to do, and at what tempo we need to do it at. So, if we can clean up some of our own mistakes, I think we've got a tremendous opportunity to be successful, to be more successful than what we have been, to eliminate some of the big play opportunities that we're giving our opponents, and really just put ourselves in a better situation where we've got a chance to consistently execute what we need to do to where we can get off the field on 3rd down, we can convert 3rd down opportunities on offense, we can eliminate big play opportunities and really have a chance to finish and win football games.
Coach, in this week you played a Norfolk State team that's kind of had a season similar to you, had some games that got away down the stretch late. Just talk about going into Norfolk this week to try to pick up a win.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. When you watch this team on film, it's really surprising that they're 1-5. They got good football players. They're a very good football team. They've got a really good kid playing quarterback, Greg Hankerson, who has some playing experience and does a lot of really good things for him. He throws the ball well. He's leading the team in rushing. And, when you look at it and you see that they're 1-5, it's really surprising because they've got some good players and they've had some opportunities to compete and win in some football games. So, this is not a team that is really representative of a 1-5 record. They've got solid running backs. They've got 8 of 9 starters returning on offense and have a ninth kid who has started games in the past. So they've really got 9 starters on offense, and they can be really explosive on offense. So we'll have to know where those guys are. We'll have to have a plan for Greg Hankerson, because he's gonna do a number of things running the ball. We'll have to know where Marcus Taylor is, number 5, their leading receiver. They run him on jet sweeps and hand the ball off to him and move him around quite a bit. And we'll have to know where James Church is, the bigger receiver, and we'll have to know where Demetrius Farrier is. They do a good job moving their tight end around and utilizing him in the run package and in the throwing game. So they've got some weapons. They've got some weapons on offense that we'll have to be aware of, and really try to do a good job to keep those guys, keep the quarterback in the pocket. Not let him kind of break pursuit lanes and get out to where he's got a chance to hurt us running the ball. And then we've got to, know where those receivers are and the tight ends are. So, they do a good job of swinging the ball and getting the ball to the back as well. So it's going to be an interesting challenge for us. Their running back has caught a number of passes, and like you said, it's really surprising that they're 1-5, and we're not going to really take their record into account at all, because we really feel that they're a really, really talented football team and just a couple of plays away from winning a few more games. So we've got to make sure defensively we know where those guys are. For us offensively, as we look at them defensively, they got good players on defense. Their 2 inside linebackers are leading the team in tackles, Kyle Archie and T.C. Livingston. And then they've got 2 really good safeties, Dante Hainsworth and Brandon Walker, who do a good job of coming down in the box and making tackles. They do a good job in coverage as well. When your linebackers when your two linebackers are leading the team in tackles, what that means is your front four is doing a really good job of ensuring that offensive linemen are not climbing to the second level to have a chance to block. So, they're big and stout up front. Deshaun Middleton at nose and Chris Lee at the defensive tackle. Both of those guys are big and strong. They're active. They make tackles. They're getting tackles for loss. They're getting hits on the quarterback. And then they got two pretty good kids coming off the edge who have good size, and Haji Gaylord and Nigel Chavis. So those guys are doing really, really well. And, they got a corner who's leading the team in interceptions, Sandy Chapman, number 10, who's got 3 interceptions. He's getting his hands on a lot of balls. He's good in coverage. So they got guys who are really talented. And, like you said earlier, and like I kind of reiterated, very deceptive with the record. We think this team is a couple of plays away from winning 3 or 4 games and being right in the middle of the MEAC race. So we've got our work cut out for us. But again, our biggest thing is just to clean up the things that are essential for us to clean up, for us to have a better chance to be successful and finish games and make plays at critical moments in the game. But they're a very well coached team. They do some things where they can be explosive offensively. They don't make a ton of mistakes defensively, and again, they're just a couple plays away from winning 2 or 3 more games and being in the middle of this MEAC race. So we're going to take this approach where we're going to go down and know that we've got to play a good game to have a chance to be successful, because they're a very talented and explosive football team.
Thank you, Coach. That concludes my questions for this morning. We'll now open up the call for questions from the media.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4 on your telephone. You will hear a 3-tone prompt to acknowledge your request. If your question has been answered and you would like to withdraw your registration, please press the 1 followed by the 3. If you're using a speakerphone, please lift your handset before entering your request. And our first question comes from Mike Klingeman from the Baltimore Sun. Please proceed with your question.
Coach, actually Norfolk State is 1-6. Does that make any difference? Not 1-5.
The biggest difference, it really doesn't. We've played close games against these guys for a while. The last number of years we haven't regardless of what their record was, we've come up on the short end of the stick against them. So, this is a very important game for us and a team that we respect a ton. Their coach, Latrell has done a good job. He's been very successful at the places where he's been as a head coach at the University of Richmond and at Virginia State. So he'll have his team prepared. It's homecoming for them. So, in our conference and everywhere in the country, everybody wants to win homecoming. That's one of the most important games. So they will be ready to play in this football game regardless of whatever their record is.
What happens to you guys after halftime? 3 points in the third quarter all year. What's up with that?
Yeah, we've got to do a much better job of making halftime adjustments and better anticipating the adjustments that teams are going to make against us once they go in at halftime and talk about things we've done well. It's definitely an area that needs improvement. It's definitely something that we have consciously talked about and worked on this week. So, we understand and know that we have to do a better job coming out after halftime to give ourselves an opportunity to score some points. This game in particular in the third quarter, I think we had a couple of turnovers which hurt us at some critical times, and we've got to clean that up. So this is still a work in progress. We're definitely not a finished product. As you can see, we're losing some close games, and we got some young kids playing and guys who are still making mistakes. And for me as a head coach, we've got to I was talking to our team the other day. And, as much as, being an offensive coordinator and calling the plays, as much as I want to spread it out and just throw the ball all over the place and be aggressive and those types of things offensively, sometimes I feel like my job is more so managing and minimizing the risk and exposure. And some of the areas where, if we're going to drop back and throw it every time, we got to make sure our protection schemes are well and we're not exposed in pass rush lanes and different things like that. We're not exposed running the quarterback a bunch of times where he's likely to fumble the ball. So, a big part of what we do and a big part of what we don't do is just us trying to make sure we're not putting our kids in situations where they're unlikely to be successful. And we have to keep all of those things in mind as our team continues to grow and we're moving people around and trying to get the right people in the right spots. And that continues to be an evolving process for us. So we've got to figure out how to score more points in the third quarter. We've got to figure out how to score more points in the fourth quarter. We've got to figure out how not to turn the ball over. Ball security is something that we work on every single day, and we know we've got to get better at it. I got on our strength coach about getting these guys stronger and in the weight room. So, this is an evolving team. We're going to continue to work on every aspect. For me as a head coach, I evaluate everything we do every week when we come out of these games, particularly when we come out in close losses. And, we'll make some changes. There's some things that I'm going to switch around. We're going to move some people around and put some different players in some different spots and move some coaches around and have some coaches do some different things. And, we got to figure out how to fix it. We can't keep coming up just short, when we have opportunities to win games. So I realize that there's a sense of urgency that needs to be pushed and stressed to our players. Is definitely understood by me. It has been pushed and stressed to our coaches, and we're going to make every effort to ensure that we put out a better product on the field on Saturday against Norfolk State. Our coaches will be better. I will be better. Our players will be better. We'll protect the football better, and hopefully we'll have a little bit better outcome. Once we get done with 60 minutes of this football game. But we're aware of what our deficiencies are and the things that we need to improve on, and we're going to work to correct those things as soon as we can.
Finally, is Chris Andrews still your starting quarterback?
At this point in time, coming out of that week, DeAndre Harris will be taking reps with the ones this week. Chris Harris will continue to take reps kind of with the twos and split some of the reps with the ones. And when we get to later in the week, we'll make a decision on which guy gives us the best opportunity to win by not putting us in situations where we're making mental errors at that position and those types of things. But we will give DeAndre an opportunity to take some reps with the ones this week, and later in the week we'll determine who's finally gonna play and start the game.
Thank you, Coach.
No problem. Thank you.
We do have another question from Lute Williams from Black College Sports page. Please proceed with your question.
Hey, Coach Farrier, how did you assess the way your defense handled the game-winning drive for Central? I mean, I know they didn't get it done, didn't stop them, but what was the key in terms of Central being able to score that last touchdown?
Well, truly the biggest key to that whole deal was really how they managed the game and special teams. You know, it really turned into a field position battle because there was a very, very strong wind in one direction. So in the fourth quarter, the decision that Coach Mack made at halftime coming out was to defend a certain side of the field to where they would get the wind in the fourth quarter. So in the fourth quarter, as you know, we had the lead 17-14. They made a nice punt to where when we go on offense, you couldn't really throw the ball into the wind. The wind was really grabbing the ball and slowing the ball down, so it was really difficult. We threw 2 or 3 passes into the wind, and almost every time the wind was kind of grabbing the ball and pushing it down to the ground or pushing it off track of where our quarterback was throwing it. So that gave them the opportunity to kind of load the box up a little bit, play 8 or 9 guys in the box and make it difficult to run the ball in those situations. So every time we punted, they gained a little bit of field position. There were about 3 consecutive series. I think the first time we punted, we got it out to about their 40-yard line. They went 3 and out or 4 and out or 5 and out, punted it back to us, pinned us down on our end of the field. The next time that we punted it, we only got the ball out to the 50, so they started that next drive at the 50. They went 3 plays or 4 plays and out, punted it back to us, pinned us down again, and then that final punt only got out to the 39-yard line. So they were gaining yards in special teams just by playing field position and playing the wind and just inching up closer because they had their backup quarterback in. They weren't taking a lot of chances with him, and you know, a couple plays before the touchdown play, we had them in the 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and actually missed 3 tackles on them in the backfield where we would have had a chance to get off the field on 3rd down and really force them into a field goal situation, which they probably would have took. They had to win, but then you're still looking to play overtime. And we missed some tackles on that 3rd down play. They got a 1st down, and then we're able to get into a situation where the touchdown play was a critical play. And really, on that play, we've kind of got an alignment error. We have a defense call where we should really be taking away an inside route and forcing a throw over the top to the corner, and we misaligned, gave up the inside. And created an opportunity for them, and they capitalized on it. It's probably something that they may have seen on film, but it was a really good call for them at that time.
Ray's punt wasn't necessarily a bad punt, but it got caught up in the wind.
However you want to consider it, it was like 13 yards.
No, not from my concern. I'm saying from your perspective, was it a shank or whatever, or was it just the wind?
You know, in those situations, he's trying to rush the punt. You know, I don't think necessarily it's terrible by him, but he's trying to rush the punt. He swung his leg all the way across his body. We were on the right hash, and the ball almost went sideways to the left hash. It went about 13 yards. So in those situations, we've got to try to keep the ball down on the ground, let it hit the ground and roll almost like a rugby punt. And we'd like to get the ball up 15, 20 yards in the air, keep it low, let it hit the ground and bounce, get our guys down there to where we can cover it and chase the bounce. And we kind of mishit the ball, and the ball gets hung up in the air, and it's not what we want. So, you know, we've got to correct that as well. But the special teams play at that time in the fourth quarter was very critical to field position and where they started that drive and how far they had to go to ultimately get a score to win the game. Hello.
Well, thank you, Coach Farrier, for your time, and we look forward to speaking with you next week, and good luck as you head up here to Norfolk this weekend.
No problem. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Morgan State will head to Norfolk State this weekend. Kickoff is set for 2 p.m. and can be viewed at nsuspartans.com. We'll now move on to Tallahassee, Florida, as we talk to second-year head coach Alex Wood of Florida A&M. The Rattlers won their homecoming game against Hampton last week and will be on the road this week at North Carolina A&T State's homecoming. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Good, good.
Just reading the reports and looking at the pictures, everyone is on a positive coming off your win last week. Just talk about last week's game, and also what can you attribute to the team's confidence on how confident they are over the last few weeks?
Yeah, the game itself, obviously, Florida A&M. I think most of the teams in the MEAC have outstanding homecomings, and obviously ours is outstanding as well. Great atmosphere, all that stuff, and then we had a nice crowd here. I think they called it at like 26,000 plus. So that was all good. Our players enjoyed that atmosphere. Our coaches did. Our fans did. So all that was good. And then on top of that, we were able to put together a complete performance game-wise, on offense, defense, special teams for 60 minutes, which is always the goal each and every game, and we were able to get it done this particular Saturday. And I think winning the game, at Del State helped. Winning the game on the road, that helps. Anytime you can win a game, and really going all the way back. Anytime you win, I would hope that would increase your confidence in your ability to repeat those types of performances. So I just think winning, helps you build confidence.
And this week, everyone has pretty much have seen, read, and heard what the Aggies can do on the field, and then you're going up there for their homecoming. Just talk about A&T, and what is your plan going into Greensboro?
Well, they obviously they're the defending champions of the MEAC, and they do an outstanding job there. They got a really, 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 really good football team, and some outstanding personnel. As you look at it, some of their leading players, Jeremiah Taylor and Deion Jones on defense, some of their leading tacklers, also Angelo Keys, he's getting tackles behind the line of scrimmage. So they're active on defense. They play a 4-3. They're multiple front, defensively. So they create some issues that way. Got one of the leading kick returners, although didn't see him in the last game, Chris Gardin, number 8, but 86, Deshaun McFadden has been doing some of the returning. So that helps them as well. Obviously, they do a great job in the special teams, and then obviously, without saying, Tariq Cohen, the running back, and then their offensive line does a great job protecting the quarterback, Lamar Raynard, and when you give him time to throw, he completes passes, Keys is obviously a good player. Griffin's a good player. Their tight ends. Smith and Hill. They play a key role in what they do offensively. So, they've got a complete team. Obviously, we're going to go up there, optimistic about our chances and put together the best plan we can put together, and then go see what happens.
Thank you, Coach. That concludes my questions for this morning. We'll now take questions from the media.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, if you'd like to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4. Our first question comes from Donald Ware from Box to Row. Please proceed with your question.
Good morning, Coach Wood. How are you?
Good morning, Donald. I'm doing good.
Good. Can you talk about the drive, the 13-play, 43-yard drive, where you all were able to get the 2-yard touchdown run to kind of take control of the game against Hampton, if you will, 24-7?
Yeah, it was a drive that was, obviously I thought we executed, fairly well, had some good play selection, and then our players just, ultimately, and I got to be honest with you, I don't remember all the details of that particular drive, but you said we scored, so I'm going to take your word for it, and and I'm all for it, but no, I thought we had a couple of good drives in that game, and I was just really pleased that we protected the football well. Didn't have very many minus yardage plays, and was really proud of our players.
Can you speak about the play of your quarterback, Ryan Stanley, I guess overall, and then more specifically in this game with not only the completion percentage, but the 2 touchdowns also, but also not throwing an interception either?
Right, that's key. Obviously, and have talked about it now for 3 weeks because that's been the case, and just want to kind of tread lightly there because hopefully that remains constant as we get ready and go play A&T as well.
Are you? And I know he played. I guess he played all of the snaps in that game. Will he be your starter? Will you also come in with Kenneth Coleman against A&T?
No, we're going to continue to play Ryan.
Okay, and then also when you look at the last 4 games, you've won 3 of your last 4. What's been the difference as opposed to maybe the first 4 games?
Well, obviously, what we've been talking about, not turning the ball over, and then playing more complete football. I think our execution has picked up. We were penalized heavily early on in those games, and that's dropped. So we got to continue that type of play going into A&T if we expect it to continue to be successful. So the lack of turnovers, minimizing the penalties, and doing a great job in special teams of getting field position.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Our next question comes from Trevin A. Jones with SBN Sports. Please proceed with your question.
Thank you. Coach Wood, how you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing well, sir. Coach, I asked you a couple of weeks ago about always getting off to a fast start or trying to get off to a fast start. It seems like the Rattlers are finishing strong. You had 24 points in the second half of that game. Can you talk about the development of your team at that point? What's happening there?
Well, no, I just think it can be attributed to the fact that we're not turning the ball over. We're getting a few more opportunities, offensively. We're getting good field position, special teams wise. So I think those are key elements in being able to generate points, and and that those are really the key points to it. To be honest with you.
Okay, Coach. And I heard you talk about A&T. It sounds like you pretty much scouted them out, which I would anticipate. Maynor and Bamiro. Have you looked at the 2 quarterbacks, and what is the distinction you see between the 2?
Well, the one obviously is more of a runner. I mean, they both can run. They both got ability. I don't want to say that. They both have the ability to run, and the difference between the 2 is I'm going to go with what A&T staff sees. They start one, and the other's backing up. So the guy they start obviously is their better guy. I mean, and Lamar was there last year too. I mean. Last year they shared quarterbacks. I think number 2, I can't remember his name, came in last year and provided some spark as a running quarterback, and I think they're trying to get the same tandem going this year. How do you say that kid's name, number 15? Bamario, I think is
Alafemi Bamiro.
Bamiro, okay.
Right.
Alafemi, thank you. Alafemi,
yep.
He gives them another dimension in running. Not that obviously Raeburn can't run, but I think that's what they're trying to do there.
Hey, Coach, everybody focuses on Tariq, but I got to see them play last week, and Amos Williams also came in and did a great deal of running.
He did.
Impressions of that guy. It's like once Tariq steps off, then you have to deal with Amos.
Yeah, no, I was disappointed to see that, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm happy for the young man. He's having a good year too. But yeah, they got 2 very capable running backs, but obviously their guy is Tariq Cohen, and he's the guy that you need to obviously corral and stop, and then but he also adds that extra dimension that while you're trying to defend him, they got a really good play action pass package that they do a good job with.
And, Coach, my last question is, if you can put your finger on it, what's been a turning point of this season for the Rattlers?
Just winning games.
Simple. I like that, Coach. Thank you. I appreciate your time. Good luck.
Yep.
Our next question comes from Lute Williams from Black College Sports Page. Please proceed with your question.
Good morning, Coach Wood. I
Good morning.
saw that the Rattlers had, I think it was the largest homecoming so far this year, about 26,000 at the game on Saturday. Has the support from the fan base been there the whole time, or is it increasing as maybe your team is getting a little better?
Well, they haven't been out in the 26,000 mark, but I think our first game at home I think it was Savannah. We had like 20 or 21 or something like that. So it's FAMU has been historically known for supporting the football team, win, lose, or draw. Obviously, when you're winning, it's at a higher rate than when you're not doing so well. So I think we're typical that way, in the sport. But it was good to see those folks come out Saturday. It was fun.
How much progress do you think your team has made? I know Coach Broadway mentioned that Howard had won a few games recently, or won a game that they had won recently. You guys obviously went in 3 out of 4. How far do you think your team has come?
Well, we'll make that assessment when we're all done, when there's no more football, because you can say, you can say this, and then the next thing you know, you get beat by somebody. So we'll make that assessment at the end of the year, because that's really, is what tells you how far you've come and then where you need to go going forward.
Okay, Coach, thanks.
Yep.
Our next question comes from Melvin Beal with Inside the Game. Please proceed with your question.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Morning. How are you?
I'm well. Coach, can you talk a little bit about your defense? There seems to be a lot of improvement on that side of the ball as far as forcing some turnovers.
Yeah. Our guys are, getting turnovers. I think we got 7 interceptions or something like that, and a couple of fumble recoveries. Those are good things. We're at a +5 in the takeaway column as far as turnovers. So we're pleased about that. Guys are playing with good energy there. Supporting one another. Good schemes, that they're having a chance to execute, but the turnovers really help. Obviously, your defense, their confidence, and then Elijah Price, our defensive end, he's leading the conference in tackles for losses, so we're pleased about that as well. And we're ahead of schedule with our sacks for the year. We're at 10 or something like that, and then last year I don't think we got 10 all year.
Right, I was going to comment on that. The other thing is, with Bowers coming back, it seems that you're getting a balance in the offense between the pass and the run. Talk a little bit about that, because that seems to have improved.
Yeah, we've always made an effort at running the football, because we think that's important. That's an important aspect to being successful as a team and on offense. But Devin coming back helps tremendously, obviously, and obviously we've been kind of doing a little bit by committee, while he's getting all the way back, physically. Hopefully he'll be at that status when we go play A&T on Saturday. We'll wait and see. But the other guys that are stepping in have done a nice job, and obviously filling whatever void is there when Devin's not in the ball game.
Okay, thanks, Coach. Have a good day.
Yep, thanks.
There are no further phone questions at this time.
Thank you, Coach Wood, and I look forward to this weekend as you travel to Greensboro to face A&T.
Yep, thank you. Appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you guys next week.
Same here, Coach.
Okay.
Florida A&M will travel to Greensboro, North Carolina to face North Carolina A&T this Saturday at 1 p.m. The contest will be streamed on NCATAggies.com. Next up, we have Bethune-Cookman head coach Terry Sims. The Wildcats defeated Norfolk State last weekend to earn its first win and MEAC win of the season, as the game was on ESPNU. The Wildcats will return home to host Delaware State for homecoming this weekend. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Ryan.
Coach, just talk about last week's game and how can you build off that performance, as I know it was a lot of emotions that came off considering what I've seen on TV.
Well, I'll say first and foremost, I have to take my hat off to these kids, because they didn't give up, going through everything they've gone through in the last month and a half, and they still fought. They still came out every day and prepared, and they went out and played, a solid football game on Saturday. We didn't do everything right, and, we had some mistakes in that game, but they hung in there and they fought, to the end. Despite, having a couple of mix-ups on special teams, because we played in a 20-plus-mile-an-hour wind almost the whole game. So, I'm just excited for the guys, and I'm proud of them for sticking in there and fighting this thing out.
Well, thank you, Coach. That concludes my questions. We'll now take questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, if you would like to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4. And we do have a question from Lute Williams from Black College Sport page. Please proceed with your question.
Hey, good morning, Coach. Congratulations on the win.
Morning, Luke. Thank you.
What was the key? What did you guys do this time? What were you able to get done this time that you haven't gotten done previously on the field?
Well, I think we had more of a total team effort. We got a couple of guys back, a couple more guys, I should say, back from injury. And I think those guys stepped in, whether it be guys on the defensive line or guys on the offensive line that helped us just regain some of our confidence that our football team has been needing. When you have a lot of injuries and you have to, count on younger guys or guys that haven't played yet, it's a little tough. But I think getting those guys back, some key guys back in key positions, and having them, locked back in with the guys that were out there playing, it just gave us a little bit more confidence. We had Larry back for the entire game this time, and he, came out and played a solid game. So I think those were the two main things.
You used Akevius, just in running situations? I see he threw the ball 3 times, but is just giving Larry a break, or how did you happen to go to Akevius?
No, we just started, inserting each guy, and we've had that around here for years, the multiple quarterback system. Just when you have 3 of them hurt, it's kind of hard to play more than one. So we just tried to get Larry in as much as possible and let him play as much as possible to kind of, get him some snaps, because you don't get better at this game unless you play it. And it just happened to be most of the plays that we inserted Akevius, they were, zone read plays or actually just, call quarterback runs for him. But it was not, intentionally that we used him just on runs. He threw it 3 times. He had 1 interception, and hopefully we'll be able to get out this week and correct those mistakes and have him put the ball in the air a little bit more on Saturday.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Melvin Beal with Inside the Game. Please proceed with your question.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning, Melvin. I'm great. How about you?
I'm well. Coach, talk a little bit about the overall health of your team. Are you going to have some other guys come back this week?
We actually will. We'll get 2 more of our defensive backs back on the field this week. So out of the 9 guys that we started out the season without, right now I think we're right about getting 6, 7 of them back totally, and we'll have like I said, 2 more guys in the secondary. They'll be back this weekend for the Dale State game.
Talk a little bit about the challenge of keeping the guys focused during homecoming week.
Well, I think, it really depends on your group. And these guys, at the point we are right now and going through all the adversity that this team has gone through, I don't foresee that being an issue, because they know the task at hand. And we've been a pretty focused group here in the last couple of weeks. And, like I said, getting some guys back, I think, helped us a lot, because those were a few of the guys that were leaders on this squad. So, I think the homecoming deal is all good, but, I let them know early. Homecoming is for alumni and for the fans, and we're just part of it as part of the activities in a football game. So I don't think it's going to be really, really hard keeping these guys focused, because they know that we have a good football team coming in here, and we're not looking at records. We're looking at personnel, and these guys have the capability of making plays in all three phases of the game, at any point in time in the football game. So we have to make sure we're locked in and ready to go.
What do you expect to see from Delaware State?
Well, I'll say this. Coach Carter is doing a great job here and his staff with those guys. He's playing a lot of young guys right now, but I will say this. If you watch them on film, the record isn't even close to what you see on film. These guys, they're going to be very, very disciplined on special teams. Coach Carter's a special teams guy, and he's going to have them ready to go there. And a lot of folks don't realize it, but, that's where you can gain a big advantage in football games. And he understands that, and he prepares his team for that. Offensively, he has a junior college quarterback that's running the show now. And it's always important to have a guy that's a little bit seasoned when you're trying to get things going offensively. And he's been doing just that. They've had a couple bad breaks, but those guys have been there. They have an outstanding running back, and he's a small guy, and those sometimes are the worst guys to try and face because you got to make sure you wrap them up and get them on the ground, and you got to get close to him. And he actually right now is their leading rusher and their leading receiver. So we have to know where he is and what's going on with him at all times because he can be explosive in running the ball and catching it.
Okay, thanks, Coach, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Trevin A. Jones with SBN Sports. Please proceed with your question.
Coach, how you doing, Coach?
I'm good. How about you, buddy?
I'm well, sir. Congratulations on the win. Hey, Coach, I know you're always moving forward. So the game against A&T, the previous game, how much confidence did that get your team on their performance? I know that wasn't a win, but you had a pretty good performance coming into this game that got the recent win.
Well, I'll say this, and I said it a few minutes ago. That game, we got a couple more guys back, and we were able to, put some guys on the field that hadn't played much this season. So I think it was good just to get those guys back out with the team and get them out there running around with their teammates. I think that did more for the whole team, just getting some of our key guys back on the field and allowing them to be out there playing, with their teammates. As far as, it doing something mentally for them, I think, watching the mistakes, decrease in our games because you have some older guys, some more experienced guys out there. I think that was something pleasing. We're never going to be pleased, like you said, with a loss, but we had some bright spots. And, correcting that film and watching the guys' effort, and I won't be able to ever say enough about these guys because we've had to go through a lot here, in the last couple months, even starting with the first game, so we've had to endure a lot, but these guys have not complained one bit. They just continue to come out every day and work and try to get better.
And, Coach, have you ever been in this situation before where I think, if I'm not mistaken, Coach, you were pretty much down to one quarterback, and then you endure, and you're coming to this point of the season, which is, 3 games left. Have you ever dealt with that situation before as a coach?
Never. In 22 years, never. We were actually down to one quarterback, and we had to train a receiver and a running back and put small packages together for them, for emergency situations. So it's been rough around here, from that standpoint, just trying to make sure we had a guy to put behind center. Losing 3 quarterbacks to start the season out, that's rough. But, like I said, these guys didn't give up. They didn't hang their heads. We just continue to work, and we're going to make our way through this thing.
And my last question, Coach, you already made reference to Eileen and Waters, the running backs for Delaware State. But have you looked at the linebackers? I think it's number 43, Cavalcante, I believe is his name. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation. And then 24, Harris. They had double-digit tackles last week just individually.
No doubt. Those guys are very active. And, yeah, I just spoke a little bit about, their offense and their offensive playmakers. But defensively, they have some guys that are active. I mean, yeah, you mentioned the linebacker. He's a very active guy, and when you watch him on film, he's all over the place. He's all over the field. And, when you look at him, you see a good football player. And I look at that. I look at football players, and when you see a guy that's a good tackler, he tackles well. You got to make sure you account for him. And our O-line has to make sure they know where that guy is at all times.
Thanks for your time, Coach. Appreciate your answers. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
We have no further phone questions at this time.
Thanks, Coach, and enjoy homecoming this weekend as best as you can, and good luck as you prepare to host Delaware State.
Thanks, Ryan.
Bethune-Cookman will host Delaware State this Saturday at 4 p.m. The contest will be live streamed on bcuathletics.com. We'll now head north to Dover, Delaware, as we prepare to speak with Delaware State head coach Kenny Carter. The Hornets fell on the road to South Carolina State last week and will head to Bethune-Cookman this weekend. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Coach, one thing that was glaring in last week's game was just the third down conversions. Just talk about how that affected the contest early on in the first half.
Oh, heck, it affected the contest the whole time. We started slow on offense, and we finally got ourselves going a little bit with getting the run game, but then we turned the ball over. The same thing plague us the entire season, and it's a byproduct of guys not playing. We can't use I tell the team all the time, we can't use the youth card anymore because we've played a lot of football, but then it's still experience. And so, having to deal with that pressure of converting on third down, the different things that you get from people on defense is going to change. South Carolina State is very, very good on defense. They're very active. They run to the ball. And so, we just got to continue to work our way through that. And I think the more time that our guys play, the more experience that we get, the better off we'll be.
Thank you, Coach. That concludes my questions. We'll now take questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4. Once again, to register for a question, please press 1 followed by the 4. And we do have a question from Trevin A. Jones from SBN Sports. Please proceed.
Coach Carter, how you doing, Coach?
I'm good, Trevin. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Coach, I always ask you this, and I'm going to ask you again this week. Eileen and Waters, how impressed are you with their development? And are they coming along as you anticipated?
They are continuing to come along. They're both tough kids. They run hard. The thing that we're learning about them, and we're learning with our offensive line, because our tempo is so fast, it's and we're getting into a point now where we're running inside zone, we're running outside zone. We got a little bit of counter. We're trying to get the ball on the perimeter, and they are understanding exactly where their aiming points are. Riding the wave and make sure they take the ball to the feet to make sure that they help the offensive line with the blocking pattern so that they can make the cuts that they need to make to gain the yards that they're going to make and that they are making. But sometimes we miss those cuts simply because of just inexperience. Mike's a freshman, and even though Bryson's played a whole year, it's still a developmental phase for him. But we're impressed with them, and we love those kids. They get better every week.
And I think that's the two of them in the backfield is helping Epperson get adjusted and get comfortable at the quarterback position.
He is. And the thing I love about Dan is that Dan is very transparent. And when Dan makes a mistake or there's an error in his decision making, he's very straightforward about it. And so it helps us continue his development. And we got those young receivers that are really coming on as good players. So our future is extremely bright, especially with the youth in the offensive line. We lose one offensive lineman, and most of those guys are going to play together for 2 or 3 more years. So I mean, we're excited about the direction that we're going. Obviously, we'd love to have more wins or win, but they understand. Our kids understand the process. They're not satisfied with where we are, but they understand the big picture.
And my last question, Coach, and help me with the pronunciation. 43, is it Cavalcante?
Cavalcante, that's correct. That's pretty good.
Okay. I try. Cavalcante and Harris, double digits solo tackles last week, and not only that, but I think you guys as a team had 7 or 8 tackles for loss between Cavalcante, Harris, and Barrett.
We've gotten each week we get better, and thank God we did, because we were putrid with putting the ball on the ground so far this season, especially when the ball gets into the secondary. But those guys have stepped up their game. They travel together every place. Every time you turn around, they're watching film, and they take a lot of pride in trying to be a very, very good tandem. We tackled live Tuesday and Wednesday last week, and we're going to do it again this week just to solve the problems that we were having on defense, which is, quite frankly, created the issues that we've had in games that we could have won easily that we lost, simply because we didn't get on the ground. And those guys have taken ownership to that and stepped up their game. And
I'm sorry, I apologize, Coach. One more. Larry Brim, what do you see when you look at this quarterback that you're about to face this weekend?
He's a good football player. I mean, Bethune-Cookman is Bethune-Cookman. I mean, forget about what's going on with their season and all the things that have happened. They like Coach has said, they have so much they've had to overcome, and they work their way through it. Luckily for us, how about that? They start to get all their guys back. So we know that the healthier he gets, the more dangerous he's going to get. I mean, he probably had a career game against us last year. He's still running. I don't know if we've tackled him yet. So we know we got to be prepared for him and just everybody on their team to make sure that we take care of business.
Thanks, Coach, and good luck.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Lute Williams with Black College Sport Page. Please proceed with your question.
Good morning, Coach Carter.
Good morning.
South Carolina State, the best defense you faced this year?
I would say they were pretty dang good. I would say I don't know if I could say that they were necessarily better than Missouri at the time,
right.
But they were pretty dang good.
You got kind of a murderer's row here at the end of your season. I would assume having South Carolina State, Bethune-Cookman, Central, and A&T, you got the parts of the last champions of the last couple of years. I would assume that's something you're looking forward to in terms of a way to measure how much growth and progress your team is making.
We just talked about that yesterday. And I think that's important. I think it's actually very good, and we have that every year. That's just how the MEAC schedule is. At least we get Central and A&T at home, and our kids look forward to that. I mean, they really do. What our season is, what our win-loss record is, really is not indicative of the kind of team that I think we have. We could have very easily have had more wins in the conference than we have right now, including the Monmouth game. But the record is what it is. But as far as playing against competition of that magnitude at this point during the season, it's exactly what you want. And so we look forward to it, and look forward to seeing basically where we are and how we can measure our teams going to at the end of the year when we do our total evaluation.
How healthy are you going into this stretch here?
Oh, like everybody else, we get banged up a little bit here and there. We have 6 young men that we will not be able to travel, and 2 of them have played significant time. The rest of the guys have been guys that have been key backups, but have played some during the season. And with our roster, because we have one of the smaller rosters, probably the smallest roster in the league, anytime you lose anybody, it definitely hurts us substantially more than everybody else in the league.
I know Coach Pough talked last week about you being a South Carolina guy and that you'd have 100 relatives at the game. How'd that go?
I don't know that it was 100, but it was dang sure close to it. You know, it was great. I mean, I love my home state. You know, I was talking to my some of my guys before the game, and we were, you know, where their locker room, the visitors' locker room, and you come out in the end zone right there where they have the stands back there behind the stands. I've sat there many a game and watched people like Barney Bussey, you know, play great football, and watch Coach Jeffries go up and down that sideline. So, you know, that's a big deal for me to go home. But I love this league. I've been around this league a lot, and growing up in South Carolina and with South Carolina State, so it was always great to go home and see my home folk.
So where's your home? Where's your home?
I'm from Camden, South Carolina.
Okay.
It's about from Orangeburg. It would take about an hour and 30 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Coach, good luck. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Our next question comes from Ty Miller with Sheridan Broadcasting Network. Please proceed with your question.
Coach, good morning to you. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I just have one question for you. As you go down the final stretch of the season with your team, we know that you're mathematically out of the race, but do you and your players relish the fact that you can be a factor in the MEAC race the rest of the season?
Absolutely. And it's, you know what, and we don't look at it in the sense of being spoilers, because we love our brethren in our conference, and but we love to compete, and to know that, and it's not necessarily the spoiler effect, but it's the fact that you have a chance to do everything you can to try to win games against the teams that are winning our conference. You know, between A&T and Central, you know, they're both 6-win pluses in the league, and so if you can etch out a win against those guys, and then, you know, our natural rival, which is Howard, because it's so close, you know, Howard and Morgan. I mean, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And so we look forward to that.
Thank you, Coach.
My pleasure.
We have no further phone questions at this time.
Thank you, Coach, and good luck as you prepare to head to Bethune-Cookman on Saturday.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Once again, Delaware State will travel to Bethune-Cookman this weekend. Kickoff is set for 4 p.m., and the game will be streamed on bcuathletics.com. Our next call takes us to Washington, D.C., as we prepare to talk with Howard University head coach Gary Harrell. The Bison fell to North Carolina A&T last week and will travel to Savannah State this weekend. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, good morning, Ryan. How you doing?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Doing good.
To put things out, you got another long trip this week, and you play Savannah, who's had more rest in the past 3 weeks than you had all season. Just talk about the mental and physical aspect of the team's fatigue at this point.
I mean, I like the way you put that, Ryan. You know, I do think about those things. You know, Savannah, they had a couple of bye weeks. I know they had a situation with the weather that put things on hold. You know, it's been, you know, a long season for us, you know, playing 2 Big Ten opponents. Haven't had a bye week for the first 7 or 8 weeks, and our bye week is next week. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But it's been a steady grind. You know, it's football. It's part of the game. It's a schedule that we knew going into the season, and we just have to be prepared for it. We knew coming out of those games from Maryland and Rutgers, and then going to Hampton. You know, it's a lot of things mentally that I try to keep my guys. You know, the physical part is one thing, but mentally, you want to try to keep your team mentally strong as we go through the week in and week out. So we have some tough teams. You know, not just the Big Ten opponents, but the guys in the conference from Hampton, Morgan, Norfolk, you know, A&T, South Carolina State. You know, we played some real good opponents, you know, and you know, it kind of put us where we are. And I believe adversity pretty much will reveal character. And the guys are playing hard, but we have to play better. You know, you can't drop the ball on the ground on a quarterback and running back exchange, you know, at the beginning of the game, and get A&T is a great football team, a short field. And then the second possession, give them the short field by they're punting and then hit one of our guys, they recover it. You just can't do those things. We're a young team with a lot of injuries, and as we try to move through the season and put things in place with players, some guys that are young playing, some guys that are wearing the red shirt, but they have to go. And this is our team. We have 3 games remaining, and we have to finish strong starting this week.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now take questions from the media.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. As a reminder, to register for a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4. And we do have a question from Lute Williams with Black College Sports Page. Please proceed with your question.
Hey, Coach. Good morning.
Hey, Luke. Good morning, Luke.
That Savannah State is the only team that Howard has never lost to. What are some of your concerns going down there to play a team which very much like you guys are in desperate need of a win?
We're both, sitting here fighting for our second win in the conference. When you're watching Savannah on tape, they play very well. They were able to defeat Bethune-Cookman, which is a big win for them. You look at Central, they did some things well against Central. Even the score doesn't reflect that. They play family. This is a tough team. It's a different team from last year. They do a lot of things on offense, a very good scheme. On defense, they do a good job as far as, changing the coverage and fronts, things of that nature. But every week, we go into the game knowing that, we have some great coaches in this conference. And we're not looking at Savannah as a team that we had some success against in the past couple of years. We know that this is a worthy opponent. It's their homecoming. We know they're going to be well prepared. They're going to be very energized and motivated. And we have to go into their territory and play well in order to win this ball game. So we don't look at the opponent, just like when we play South Carolina State A&T, we go into every game with the expectation to win. But we have to do what we do best in order to win, and that's taking care of the football like we did earlier in the year. For the past couple of weeks, we've been very sloppy with the ball, with the turnovers, and that really hurt us. Red zone, third down conversion, stopping the run. We have to take care of the things that we are able to control and focus on those things in order to be a good football team. And like I said, it has to start this week. We had a very good show against South Carolina State. We felt like we had a chance to win the ball game, but had some mistakes. We had 5 turnovers. A&T, they came out and manhandled it. It was a very physical football team, and they won the game up front on the O-line and D-line. We got pushed around pretty good. So hopefully, we bounce back from that and see how we have to play coming out from the beginning with no mistakes, and we have to play with low pad level, and be able to run the football, and stop the run. But Savannah State has a very good passing game, and we have to be ready to defend the pass.
Well, speaking of that, what about the play of your secondary? Step forward, step back, good performance against A&T. How would you rate it?
I think a step back. A&T has very big receivers, and 6'3", 6'4" receivers outside, and they're very effective in the red zone. I think we did a good job from the 20 to 20, but just in the red zone area, we just didn't make the guy one-dimensional as far as taking away the inside and play the fade. We know they like to run the fade. We know they like to run a slant, but they was able to dictate their release and take advantage of both routes. Throughout the game, I think we, Tariq is a very special back, has some very good runs. We had some success as far as stopping the run, stopping the zone read. Some missed assignments, where we had tight ends and things of that nature around free down the field. But I think we took a little step backwards, So I want to see guys coming up with an interception. I want to see them come down with a 50-50 ball. And I want to see them compete a little bit more in the secondary to make me feel a little bit comfortable. And stopping the pass is just not with the back half of the defense. We got to do a good job as far as the D-line. That's what A&T did a good job as far as D-line putting pressure on the quarterback with 3 and 4 guys. When you're able to rush the quarterback, like you saw last night with the Denver Broncos, when you got guys that can put pressure on the quarterback, it makes it very difficult in the passing game, and it helps the secondary out because they know it has to come out quick. They're able to sit on routes. But when the quarterback has all time in the day to go through his progression and let the route develop and maybe escape from the pocket and improvise a little, that's a lot of pressure on the DB. So we have to make sure we play a total defense from the D-line perspective to help out in the secondary.
Did A&T defense feel y'all better than anyone so far this year?
They did a really good job. I think South Carolina State did a pretty good job with them. Also with Norfolk State, he had a couple long runs that game, but those two teams played them well. But A&T probably the best. They did a good job, not just penetrating with the D line. It just was much stronger and was able to get a good push. They were able to get lower in the offensive line and push them back into the backfield, which created problems for the running back because it pushed them off this track. We were trying to run outside and inside zone. So we had a difficult time running the football, and we thought we could open it up with a passing game, but the quarterbacks didn't play well when they missed some open guys. Receivers dropped a couple of balls as well. So all those things have to tie in. You have to be able to throw the football to get the box that you want. Even though we have a running back that's very special, we want to try to make sure that they are very concerned with the passing game, which open up the run. So we like to get in a situation where we're able to throw to open up the run. But they did a great job as far as scheming and doing a good job as far as getting a good push and rallying to the football. And it gave Anthony Farrier a hard time this past weekend.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thanks, Luke.
Our next question comes from Trevin A. Jones with SBN Sports. Please proceed.
Coach, how you doing, Coach?
Hey, Trevor, how you doing, bud? I'm doing good.
I'm doing well, sir. Hey, Coach, when I look at the stats, when I'm looking at Savannah State, this is a team that you're about to face that hasn't scored in the first quarter or the third quarter so far this season. And the Bison have gotten off to quick starts in a couple of two of the last three games. Do you think that'll be a factor coming into this game?
We have to hope so. We got to come out and make sure. I think we didn't get to a fast start this week against A&T. We fell behind very quickly with the turnovers. We come out and protect the ball, quarterback-wise and running back, and be able to run the football because, Savannah State is a very good team on offense. They take a lot of risks. They throw the deep balls. They try to get guys on the perimeter. They have a very good scheme that they run, and we have to be disciplined with Savannah State. When you're watching them, they have the fewest penalties in the conference. They lead the conference with the fewest penalty per game. So that tells me they're a very disciplined team. When it comes to net punting, they lead the conference, and all that's part of field position. And those are things that you want to look at when it comes to stats to break a team down and see what they are doing within the ball game. Things can go either way based on how you come out. Based on turnover, things of that nature. But, we got to play for 4 quarters, and that's what we have to do, especially against a team this week. They have shown that they're able to play a tough game. When you look at the Bethune game, they fought the whole entire game and went into overtime and was able to win the game. They play with a lot of pride. They play with a lot of pride and passion. It's a good football team. You got 2 big quarterbacks. They use a 2-quarterback system, and you try to get a read on them and get some tendencies. But they have a really good scheme. We have to make sure that the most important part for us is to be disciplined when it comes to the penalties, when it comes to protecting the football, because you're going in someone else's territory and it's their homecoming. So you got to do all the little things. It's a long trip for us. So all those things factor in for us. But we want to and we must get off to a great start and finish strong. And I think that's what we kind of lack throughout the year. We'll start strong, then we'll lose it a little bit midway through the game, or we'll come out slow and then we'll pick it up towards the end, like we did with Norfolk State, and was able to come out with the win. But we have to play for 4 quarters. All those teams we played in the past, very good football teams, and they've had a lot of success in those areas that we're talking about in the passing game. But we got to make sure we're able to defend the pass this week. They're very, very, very good as far as throwing the football. Blake does. He has a very strong arm. He's very accurate. Bell comes in. He's able to run the football. He's able to throw the football as well. And they got some tall receivers outside that run great routes with good hands. They use the tight end. This is a very good football team, and I think it's going to be a good test for us, as we try to close the season out.
And, Coach, if you would, for me, if you don't mind, talk about the development and maturation of your team. You have some players that have been playing very spirited football, and I don't think any of them have given up. And I'm talking about somebody like Anthony Farrier, Robert Mercer, Johnny Cooper, and Craig Johnson, David Lee. Talk about the growth of some of those players, because you have a lot of talent and a lot of young talent, do you not?
Yeah, I think the future is very bright. The quarterback position. Quarterbacks. One has 2 years remaining after this one, the other has 3. So it's a very competitive nature at that position. We're trying to see who's going to separate themselves at that position, and they really haven't at this time. And we hopefully going in this week when we name the starter, they'll be get in and show me that they're the guy for the rest of this year and going into the off season as we go into the 2017 year. So, but the quarterback position, we're very proud and pleased to have 2 good young quarterbacks. Anthony Farrier, he's the underclassman. He's running the ball very tremendous. He's our guy. There's no doubt about it. We try to make sure we feature a lot of things around him. We have to give him help, which we're doing with Robert Mercer, who's a very tough competitor. He's a small guy with great hands, great speed, probably one of the fastest guys on the team. We got Avery, who coming back off an injury. He's a senior right now. We have to find someone to replace him, but Cal Anthony, he's a young freshman, man, and I'm very excited about. It's a guy that does everything on the football right. He has a different mentality. Great student in the classroom, goes to study hall, and he does everything right, and it shows on Saturday why he's special. On defense, we got a lot of guys that we're losing with Craig Johnson, our veteran guy, who's doing a great job in leading the team since leaving Devin Rollins, who's our captain, the guy to get everyone lined up. He's our quarterback of the defense, but Craig Johnson's doing a good job of stepping in, so along with Jalen Day. But there are seniors that's leaving, and we have to find guys going to replace them. But up front, we have a lot of young guys with Royce Myers, Tyler Fuller. A lot of those guys are coming back. Elijah England, David Lee, who's very surprising as a linebacker. We got a lot of guys coming back next year, but we just want to work on building that winning tradition, teaching these guys how to win. Because each week we're killing ourselves, and it starts in practice, it starts in the classroom, everything that we're going to study hall, things of those nature that they must do in order to be a good football team. So I feel good about where we are as far as a young team. We know we're building a program. We know we have a lot of injuries, we have a lot of guys that's getting great reps, but we have to finish the season strong. We have 3 more games remaining, and right now where we're sitting with everything we're talking about with injuries, young guys, it's still unacceptable. We have to, play to win, and we have to win ball games. And that's, as a coach, as a head coach, that's what you're hired for, to build a winning program. And it's time for us to continue to strive for that. But right now, it's a must-win situation for us.
Always appreciate you, Coach. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
We have no further phone questions at this time.
Thank you, Coach, for taking time out to speak with us, and good luck as you head to Savannah this weekend.
Thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. Howard will head to Savannah State this Saturday at 2 p.m. The game will be live streamed on SSUathletics.com. We're now joined by Norfolk State University head coach Latrell Scott. The Spartans fell to Bethune-Cookman last week on ESPNU and will host Morgan State for homecoming this weekend. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Hanging in there.
Looking at the stats, Coach, a combined 15 points is the difference in winning 3 of your 4 conference games. With you being that close, just talk about the fine line between winning and losing, and how do you preach that to your team?
Well, it's unfortunate because, like you said, in the 3 of the 4 losses that we had in the conference, we've actually had the ball at the end of the game with an opportunity to win. And when you can't get in the end zone and get that stop, it just means that you're not where you're supposed to be. But it's something that I'm proud of my team for doing. I've got a bunch of young guys playing, and they're still playing competitive and they're playing hard. And we need to do what we can do as a coaching staff to help these guys win a football game.
Well, thanks, Coach. That concludes my questions. We'll now take questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4. Once again, to register a question, please press 1 followed by the 4. And we do have a question from Trevin A. Jones with SBN Sports. Please proceed.
Coach Scott, how you doing, sir?
I'm here, Trevin. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Hey, Coach, how much of the mental psyche it comes into play at this point in the season? I know you still got a few games to go, and you're trying to get over the hump, so to speak, to get the second win, first conference win.
Well, it's tough. It's tough to go out and prepare and be competitive in your games and somehow fall short at the end. But I'm really proud of our team and how resilient they are, and they're doing the right things. With the exception of a few things to try to win football games. But when you're building a program, you're going to take some bumps. There's some top programs in the MEAC right now that haven't always been the top program. It's an experience for me, having to show patience and let our team understand that that we're a work in progress. But we're going to keep battling, Trevin, and week in, week out, keep giving ourselves a chance to win. And I keep telling the guys it's coming. And once we get over the hump, I think we'll be a force to be reckoned with.
And if you don't mind, Coach, talk to us about the growth of Greg and also Gerard, the running back. How pleased are you with their development? And are they pretty much on schedule as what you would have anticipated from the two of them at this point in the season?
Well, they've been here with us for 2 years, and they're seniors now, so you wish they were sophomores, and you had the opportunity to have them, for the entire time. But both of those guys are very positive leaders on our team. They transferred in from places that they weren't happy, and they've had good careers here. And you wish that we would have been successful enough to put those guys in a situation to play for some type of championship, but we wouldn't be where we are, and we wouldn't be losing these games by 3 and 4 points if we didn't have Greg and Gerard here. So they're huge parts of our program now, and they will be on in the future after they graduate.
And my last question, Coach, on the defensive side of the ball, I think it's Nigel and then TC. Was TC a surprise this season, TC Livingston?
Well, both of those guys are. Nigel is a redshirt freshman, and we moved Nigel from linebacker to defensive end. His stat line was crazy last week. Just to see a guy like that, come in and be developed in our program and be able to be successful, is a testament to his hard work over the summer and to our coaching staff. And, along with TC also, TC's a redshirt junior, but this is the first game action that he's ever seen, So when we talk about, we're playing guys that are playing for the first time, you can just see that those are two contributors that they're having very solid seasons for us that are really playing for the first time. So, we look forward to having both of those guys back and continue to add to these pieces that we already have and improving down the road.
Right, and will Kyle Archie be back as well?
Kyle Archie got another year also. Yeah, so okay. This is Kyle's second year, as a full-time starter. So, like I said, Kyle played kind of in Deion King's shadow last year. So, a lot of the guys that are getting this experience now, they're taking these bumps and bruises. They'll be back hopefully to pass out some of those bumps and bruises to some other teams in the league.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you. Good luck.
Thank you. Take care.
Our next question comes from Ty Miller with Sheridan Broadcasting Network. Please proceed with your question.
Hey, Coach Scott. Good morning to you.
Hey, Ty. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. You just mentioned to Trevin that Norfolk State is still a work in progress now into your second year. There was some light last year when you had a couple of wins there, 3 wins there. But this year, a little bit different story. You've been close in a few games. So can you talk about the main difference between what the difference in progress last year from until this year?
I think we're still making progress. Obviously we've only won 1 game. Our season went differently a year ago. Really the only game that we haven't won this year that we won a year ago was when we lost to Howard. We didn't beat A&T last year. We didn't beat Bethune last year. So I don't think we've taken a step backwards in any regard. I think, if you look at our roster and you play close detail to it, when you look at the 24 seniors that we'll have on Sunday, 8 of them, 8 of the 24 seniors that'll participate in Senior Day are starters, and 5 of those seniors are seniors that transferred to the program in the last 18 months since we've been here. So we're building a roster, and we're doing what we think, we're doing what we know how when it comes to building programs. So I don't think that we've taken a step backwards. I think that we're still improving, and we're looking forward to trying to win these next 4 games. And if we finish 5 and 6, that's a better record than we had a year ago. So as long as our kids are still playing hard and being competitive and improving, we're not satisfied. But we know that we're progressing.
And, Coach, I know it's a bit early to, maybe talk publicly about recruiting, but when you look at the Tidewater area, how much progress have you made within the past couple of years since you've gone over to Norfolk State in terms of attracting young men to your program?
I think our staff's done a tremendous job, with the Tidewater area, the Richmond area. We recruit those areas as local areas both, and our roster is starting to shift. If you look at the freshman classes, they're heavy laden from Richmond and Tidewater and Eastern North Carolina. I don't think we had one kid on the roster from North Carolina when we got here. We didn't have anybody from D.C. on the roster when we got here. So we're kind of casting a 3 or 4 hour net and trying to keep some of the best local talent around that we possibly can.
And finally, Coach, last season versus Morgan State, you came out with a 17-10 win. But, Fred Farrier has turned his team in a totally different direction. He's had some narrow losses there. So what is the biggest difference you've seen with the Bears compared to when you took them on last season?
I think Coach has done a good job. I thought Coach Hall did a very good job. Those guys had some setbacks with their academic, situation. And, even when Coach Hill was there, those guys were competitive. So, I don't know that there's a ton of difference in the guys other than, they've had good coaches and they're well coached and they play hard. We played them a year ago, and they were a team that was a conference champion. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to win games for Norfolk State, and although we're happy that other teams have improved, the most important thing to me is that we improve.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
We have no further phone questions at this time.
Thank you, Coach Scott, for speaking with us this morning, and good luck as you prepare to host Morgan State on Saturday.
All right, thanks. Take care.
You too. Morgan State will travel to Norfolk State this Saturday at 2 p.m. The contest will be streamed live on nsuspartans.com. We will now head to Hampton University and talk with head coach Connell Maynor. Hampton fell to Florida A&M this past weekend and will host South Carolina State on Saturday. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm fine. Last week against Florida A&M, it was even contest in the third quarter, but the two biggest keys that I've seen was FAM found a way to convert after that 2nd and 20 situation, and then the fumble a few minutes later kind of turned a tie game into a 10-point deficit. Just talk about that stretch and how do you avoid those kind of situations in the future?
Well, we didn't execute, and you got to take your hats off to FAM and Coach Wood and their coaching staff for doing a great job of getting those guys prepared. They took the lead, and then we came out the very next play, first possession, and threw a lateral, and they recovered it. And, the defense came out and had a good stand, held them to 3 points, so it kept us to a 10-point game where we're still in the football game. But we just didn't execute well enough offensively to put enough points up, and defensively to stop those guys from scoring. So you got to take your hats off to them. They did a good job.
And quickly, just talk about South Carolina State and how do you match up?
Coach Pough, he's been around a long time. He does an excellent job, got an excellent staff. They're great on defense, and they're still trying to find their way on offense, but they're getting a lot better on offense, and they put up a lot of points last outing. So, they're going to work on what they think they need to work on, which is more offense than defense. But, those guys are real, real good on defense, and we got our work cut out for us offensively and defensively to stop their offense because they spread it out now. And their quarterback can run the ball too. So we have to be prepared. They beat us, the last 2 years. So it's going to be a tough game. This will be our third home game, and we're looking forward to the challenge. We know they're coming in. They still tied for first place. So it's going to be a tough game.
Thank you, Coach. We will now take questions from the media.
As a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, to register a question, please press 1 followed by the 4. And we do have a question from Trevin A. Jones with SBN Sports. Please proceed.
Coach Maynor, what's up, Coach?
What's up, Trev?
Hey, Coach. Just two quick questions. Second half of this game against FAMU, FAMU got 24 points on you. Was it a mental breakdown as far as the defense is concerned, or was it a letdown team-wise? Or I'd like to hear your comment on it.
We just couldn't get off the field. Our defense didn't play very well. We didn't tackle very well. They didn't do a lot of stuff. They ran inside zone, outside zone, ran some boots, threw a couple pass plays. We just didn't execute. We didn't stop them. We had some penalties they just, we got to take a hats off to them. I think they wanted a little more than we did. It was homecoming. It was 30,000 people in the stadium, and they just outplayed us.
And my last question, Coach. Okay, South Carolina State's coming to Hampton, and they got this number 10 on the other side of that ball, Darius Leonard. What's your impressions of him?
He's a great football player. It's a reason why he was preseason picked to be all-conference player of the year, defensive player of the year, and he's playing up to that ability right now. He's all over the field, man. I mean, he's making tackles. He's getting interceptions. It's crazy, man. This guy's inside the line of scrimmage and ball pops outside, and he's out there making a tackle. It's hard to account for him. He's everywhere, and he's a great player. He shucks off blocks, gets in the throwing lanes, picks off balls, and shoot. I'm just glad we got to play him once.
Coach, I appreciate you. Thank you, and good luck this weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Our next question comes from Dave Johnson with the Daily Press. Please proceed with your question.
Hey, Connell. Good morning.
Hey, Dave.
I wasn't able to see the game, but looking at the stats, it seemed like you were able to run the ball effectively. 7-7 at halftime, and when they started to pull away, did that sort of take you out of what you were able to do, make you sort of play catch up?
Yeah, it did. Point-wise, we really wasn't in bad shape where we felt we had to throw the ball, but defensively, they was going on some long drives, eating up a lot of clock. And so it kind of turns a two-possession game, which is 10 points, almost into a 3 or 4 possession game because our defense wasn't able to really slow those guys down, and they was taking a lot of time off the clock. And so it kind of forced me to kind of throw the ball a little bit more than I wanted to because if we did run the ball and sustain the drive and don't get any points out of it, now we're in the fourth quarter, and so it played a part into it, making us throw the ball a little bit more than we wanted to.
Thanks.
We have no further phone questions at this time.
Thank you, Coach, and good luck this weekend as you prepare to host South Carolina State.
Thank you. We're going to need it.
Hampton will host South Carolina State this Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. The contest will be streamed on HamptonPirates.com. We're now joined by Savannah State's Erik Raeburn. Savannah State is coming off a bye week and will host Howard for its homecoming game this weekend. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Coach, it's been no secret your team has had plenty of time off to rest, and just talk about getting ready to go after not playing in 2 of the past 3 weeks.
Yeah, with obviously with our 2 bye weeks and then the hurricane, it just feels like we haven't been able to play any football games for like the last month. But so our the way the schedule worked out, having a bye last week, certainly, our players, wish we had a game because we had been off so long. But we're looking forward to getting back out there this week.
And lastly, just talk about Howard as their strength is their running game, and your strength is on defense as of now. How do you approach the game this weekend?
Yeah, obviously their running back is outstanding. He's the best that we've had to play against. So we're definitely concerned about him. I do feel like we have. I do think we're further along on the defensive side of the ball than we are offensively. And so hopefully those guys will play well on Saturday because that's the only chance we have to be successful is if we get a great effort out of our defense.
Thank you, Coach. That concludes my questions. We will now take questions from the media.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4. We do have a question from Trevin A. Jones with SBN Sports. Please proceed.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good.
Good. Hey, Coach, are you worried of there being some rust amongst the players as you get out onto the field, especially for the homecoming game, being the first game you played in a while?
I think they are. Obviously, everyone has a great vibe on campus when it's homecoming, so there's always a little more excitement. But I think just with the bye weeks and the hurricane and the evacuation and all that stuff, our guys, we've only played 5 games, and it's the end of October. So our guys, I think, are excited to get out there and are looking forward to it. And hopefully, because we haven't played as many games, hopefully we'll have have a little more life in us and fresher legs, and hopefully we'll fly around on Saturday and play well.
And that was going to be my next question, Coach. Having that time, that means you're healthier than most would be at this point of the season, correct?
Yeah, we've had a few injuries this last game that that obviously hurt us, but yeah, I don't know the health of every team, but it seems like the longer you go in the season, the more guys you have that are at the very least nursing little bumps and bruises and injuries and stuff. So the fact that we've only played 5 games where most teams have played 7, some have played 8. Hopefully health-wise we're in a little better position than some of the other teams are.
And you're in an interesting position, Coach, because as I look at the roster, and if I think I remember correctly, you have players that have played quarterback that are playing other positions. Have you had any separation at this point as far as the number 1 quarterback? I guess it would either be Blake or Bell. Is that correct?
That's correct. Those have kind of been our 2 guys that we've gone with, and both of them are freshmen, inexperienced guys, but we feel like they've both done good things. We particularly we've just not blocked well, offensively. That's been our number 1 issue. But typically when you don't have much of a running game and your pass protection's not as good as it needs to be, and you have 2 freshman quarterbacks, you'd anticipate a lot of turnovers, and to their credit, they've taken pretty good care of the football. They haven't. They've made some mistakes, but they're playing. I think when you consider the situation that they've been in and the pressure they've been under, I think both freshmen have performed really well, and we're really happy with the progress that they've made, and so we're going to continue to play both of them. Obviously, if one guy gets out there and he's just playing lights out, or he's got the hot hand, we certainly would roll with him a little bit more, but they've been pretty even in terms of their production, and we've been happy with the play of both of them. So our plan is to continue to rotate them.
And is there anything that worries you about this Bison front on their defense, or even the Bison secondary? Have you gotten a chance to see them on film? Is anything that just stuck out on your mind?
Yeah, I'm impressed with them. I think they're very disciplined in the secondary. They have some veteran guys. Those guys do a good job of always being in position. And then obviously, where we're most concerned is that front 4 and also the front 7, if you will. Because that's where our struggles have really been is up front. So we've been impressed with how hard they play up front, and obviously they got a couple guys that have made had a lot of sacks and tackles for loss, and that's kind of been our Achilles heel right now. Is we keep getting behind the chains. Either our quarterback we give a sack on our quarterback and end up with a 3rd and 14 or something like that, or we get a tackle for loss in the run game, and then we're forced into passing situations, and we just haven't. We have to avoid those type of things to have any chance. And so far, that's been a struggle for us.
And my last question, Coach, I'll turn it over to the Tigers defense. Anthony Farrier, number 7 for the Bison. I think you might have made reference to it earlier. I didn't. I apologize if I didn't catch it. A&T held him to his lowest output of the year. Have you seen that? Have you studied that, or would you follow their script or schemes, or do you have your own plan?
Yeah, obviously they did a great job defending them. They're just in a different position than we are. They have a really veteran team, really experienced team, and they have a really good offense. So part of holding his production down is their running back, who's excellent, and their offense that's really productive. They put together some really nice long drives and had the ball for a long time and kept him over on the bench. So I don't know if we'll be able to follow that the exact same plan that they had, but I thought they did a great job of tackling. They see very few missed tackles in the game against Howard, and I think if we tackle better than what we have been, we'll have a chance too.
Coach, thank you for your time and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Lute Williams with Black College Sport Page. Please proceed with your question.
No, he just answered my question. I was trying to type in to withdraw it. I'm good, Coach Raeburn. Good luck.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We have no further phone questions at this time.
Thank you, Coach Raeburn, and good luck as you return to the field for quite some time, and as you prepare to face Howard this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Savannah State will host Howard this Saturday at 2 p.m. The contest will be live streamed on SSUathletics.com. We're now joined by South Carolina State University head coach Buddy Pough. The Bulldogs defeated Delaware State last weekend in homecoming, and it was their home opener, and they will travel to Hampton this weekend to face the Pirates. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
I'm fine. How you doing, Coach?
Back on the road again, man. Back on the road again.
Well, speaking of going on the road, talk about Hampton, and everyone know they have playmakers on both sides of the ball, but just talk about what you have to do to keep to stay in this conference race, as we know Hampton will be a tough opponent for you this weekend.
It will be. Hampton's one of the better teams in our league, and we were a little bit surprised by the fact that they were defeated last week. Coach Maynor is really one of the better offensive minds, I think, in our entire division, and he always does a nice job of keeping you off balance with all the things he does, including in his screen draw game. So, I think it's going to be a tough game for us up at Hampton, a place that we generally have a tough time getting it done in. And, I'm sure they'll be breathing fire this week after having lost a game that I'm sure he feels like they probably should have won.
Thank you, Coach, and we'll now take questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4. And we do have a question from Lute Williams with Black College Sport Page. Please proceed with your question.
But I can't let you get away without answering a couple questions this morning. How you doing?
Fine, Lute. How are you?
Not bad. How would you assess the team's play? Was a much better performance than Howard all around?
Well, we were better than we were at Howard, but, we're so far away, Luke. And, we're still trying to find our way, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I think we're starting to at least be a force defensively and in our special teams plan. But, our offense right now just is become, an issue. And we're trying to figure this thing out.
Well, you got Colic I think you started Caleb on Saturday. What went into that?
Well, Caleb got beaten up a little bit in the Howard game, and sometimes you need to kind of just take a little bit of a step backwards and kind of watch a little bit. We felt like he was kind of pressing a little bit, and we wanted to try to see if we could give Adrian an opportunity to maybe get back in there a little bit. If we had been playing him some at the wide receiver position, and we playing all those quarterbacks all over the place, trying to figure out, how to get some receiver talent in the game. We really don't feel like right now we play very good in a full wides offense, at wide receiver. So, you add the fact that you're trying to figure out, what you can do and trying to figure out who can do it. We're trying to, pull all the stops to figure out, who can possibly help us do what.
Hey, Coach, is this looking like the longest season you've been acquainted with? I mean, you got another 5 games left, or is it 6 games left?
I think I got 5 games left, Luke, but heck, I don't know what the heck I got. At this point, we just try to figure out, what we got this week, and we know we're extended a week now, with the Hurricane week being placed at the back of our schedule. So I guess we got 5 games, but it's been, it's really not been that big a deal. Most of the bowl schools have, their schedule spread out over the about the same amount of time, maybe a little bit more. So, that's not that big a deal. It's just that it's just a little bit of a strange sensation, having a long time off and then trying to figure out, especially with our schedule, having all those road games that we have, all those long road trips that we did at the beginning of the year. I think that's what kind of makes, our situation seem a little bit more, of a problem than it really is.
Is this, being at the place that you are, still being undefeated in conference play, what does that say about, I guess, your team, number one? Because, nobody had a rougher start or a more difficult opening schedule than you did. But to be undefeated at this point and, still in the race, so to speak, what does that say about?
Yeah, we're still in it, but, it's kind of a scheduling quirk. I think this maybe has gotten us, to this point that way. We're really appreciative of the fact that we're now back to 500, but, we actually see our team on film, and, we don't see, an undefeated football team right now that can actually go the distance. And, we're trying to figure out, if we can find a way to, to get ourselves playing better. But, as our schedule stiffens, as we get to, some of the top teams, the teams that we've beaten hadn't hardly won a game. And FAMU has started to play really well, so that might give us a little bit of a lift. But some of the rest of the teams that we've beaten, hadn't had very good seasons. So at this point, until we win a game, against somebody that's maybe even like the Hampton game this week, if we could, then that might start to give us a little bit of confidence that we really belong, with the top teams in our league.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thanks, Luke.
Our next question comes from Ty Miller. Please proceed with your question.
Hey.
Coach, Ty, are you there?
I'm good. I'm here. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Come on.
Okay. I'm listening to you, and it is, your record is kind of deceptive because you look at the fact that you played UCF, Louisiana Tech, and Clemson to start your season, and now you're not into the meat of your MEAC schedule yet, but you're 3-3, and I hear you talking about problems on offense. Now, are they due to the fact, is it personnel oriented or is it execution oriented? Because most of the last week you were balanced on offense so far as running and passing goes.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, and we'll start to play pretty good. We've played at times in all of those games, even the games against the big guys, pretty well. But then, we go for spurts where we can't seem to find ourselves. So, I think it's a combination of the two. I think we've got some structural issues. Sometimes we, try to do some things that, this team doesn't seem to be able to do. And then other times we don't necessarily execute very well. We don't play very well. We don't necessarily have, some of the right people maybe to do some of the things we're trying to do. So I think it's a combination, of it all. We got to continue to figure out, what we can do to help this team be better. I think we've got to maybe coach them a little bit better. We've got to, motivate them. We've got a lot of work to do. I've got a lot of work to do, as a head coach to help this football team because we've got pretty good players now. The one thing that you can't really give, you can't ignore, I better say, is the fact that we're playing a bunch of young folk. We're playing 20-some-odd, either ones or redshirt ones. And, that's totally unheard of here. And we pulled a red shirt off of another kid, a wide receiver this past week, who played some at wide receiver for us. And, it's one of those deals where when you're playing that young a group of kids, I think you're going to expect some of the kinds of situations that we've come upon. And I think I need to be patient with them, but at the same time, we're at the point now where, it's the time that you got to get it done. And, we're trying to drive them to do the very best they possibly can.
Hey, Coach, championships are not won without challenges. And if you go back 2 weeks ago, the Howard game did present a challenge because most people thought on paper that, it would be a runaway for South Carolina State. However, I want to know, in your estimation, how good of the makings of a team do you have here, being that, you met the challenges early on and you are getting better as the season goes on?
Well, I think that might be, exactly what we're still trying to figure out, Ty. We thought that we played better at Howard. That really set us back a piece. What the heck's going on here? And then we come back this past week and we play somewhat better for a half, and then we go out in the second half and we don't play very well again. So, we're talking a situation here where, we don't consistently have, any kind of real, confidence in the fact that we can go out and do it over and over and over again. And that's what's been probably the most concerning part of the whole, situation at this point.
Last couple of years, Coach, the MEAC has had ties going down to the, to the end of the season. And Hampton's in a position where, we had 2 years ago where there were several teams tied with 2 losses. Hampton's at that position right now where they can't afford a loss. And you talked earlier about, meeting the challenge of having your players play with emotion. So knowing that coming in, how do you talk to the players about that, making sure that they play at a high level, especially when you got young players?
Well, I think we can see on film that Hampton's definitely one of the better teams in our league. And, if we don't play very, very well, at their place this coming week, we can pretty much bet that they're going to get after us pretty good. They're going to probably beat us. They have maybe the best quarterback, the best playing quarterback right now in our league. He leads, I think, most of the ratings. And, he does a nice job of being able to understand, what they're trying to get done in his offense. And then, their offense is one where they really got a lot of stuff to it. They got, if you ever let your guard down in any kind of shape, form, or fashion, they'll hit you, with one of those little, barnyard deals, one of those trick play kind of deals. They got plenty of that kind of stuff. So they got some good hard-nosed stuff. They can power you, and they can fool you. So I think that's what makes them so scary. Going in there, knowing that, their back's against the wall a little bit.
Okay, Coach, good luck this weekend.
Thanks, Ty.
We have no further phone questions at this time.
Thank you, Coach Pough, and good luck as you head up here to Hampton this week to play the Pirates.
Thanks, Ryan. Y'all have a good day.
You too. South Carolina State will travel to Hampton this Saturday. 4 p.m. The contest will be streamed on HamptonPirates.com. We're now joined by North Carolina A&T State head coach Rod Broadway. The Aggies defeated Howard last week and will host Florida A&M in their homecoming game. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Ryan. How you doing?
I'm fine. How you doing, Coach?
I'm good, thank you.
Coach, Florida A&M comes into Greensboro with a lot of momentum, and they're coming off a homecoming where they pretty much will see the same type of crowd they're expecting this weekend. Just talk about the Rattlers and what's the plan in order to pick up a win.
Well, we, excuse me, we've got to get better actually and play better. As you watch tape, you can see that Fam has gotten a lot better here and has won 3 in a row. So they're on the road right now, and we just got to go out and play well, and it'll be a heck of a ball game.
And just talk about how you all got a chance to play a lot of people last week, and how do you think that'll help you down the stretch?
Well, we did. We pulled some people, early in the third quarter and gave a lot of young people a chance to play and got some experience in some positions. But, hopefully, if we need them, they can go out and play a lot better than they did last week, of course. But it was a good opportunity to create some depth.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now open up the call for questions from the media.
Thanks, Ryan.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you'd like to register a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4. And we do have a question from Traven A. Jones with SBN Sports. Please proceed.
Thank you. Coach Broadway, how you doing?
Man, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm always well, Coach. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Coach, have you ever coached a running back like Tariq? And the only reason I ask that question is I know you've been answering questions about him all season, but I think he went over 5,000 yards career-wise just last weekend.
Right.
Those numbers are astounding.
And so is he. He's an excellent player, and and he's a great guy, a great teammate, great person, great student. So he has excellent written all over him. But no, he may be the best football player I've been around in my 38 years, and I've been around some great players, and there's no slop at any of those guys. But Tariq is outstanding.
Hey, Coach, and let me go to the defensive side of the ball for you real quick. Last weekend, again, you played a lot of young players, but also Deion Jones seemed to be excelling last weekend with his tackles for loss. He had a couple of tackles for loss. Can you talk about his development, if you don't mind?
Yeah, he's a linebacker that can run, change directions. He's getting a little bit better understanding on how we want to play as far as fields and fits is concerned, and pass drops and rerouting receivers. But he's getting better. He's always been talented, but now he's starting to understand what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do things. And as you do that, you can see his game improving, and hopefully he can continue to get better.
And, again, I know you just commented on FAMU a little bit. Is there anything about this team that sticks out in your mind as you watch them? Because it seems like they're picking up momentum where it seems like your Aggies are kind of consistent with their.
They are. All you got to do is watch them. They've gotten better. And it's obvious when you watch tape. And, I've gone back and looked at last year's tape and watched this year's game with them, and they've made progress. They've gotten better. And they do what they do well. So it's going to be a challenge for us, getting ready to play and trying to get them stopped and trying to move the ball offensively against them.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
There are no further questions at this time.
Thank you, Coach, and good luck this weekend as you prepare to host Florida A&M for homecoming.
All right, Ryan, you have a good one.
You too.
All right, thanks.
North Carolina A&T State will host Florida A&M this weekend for homecoming. The contest kicks off at 1 p.m. in Greensboro. We'll now close out our teleconference with North Carolina Central head coach Jerry Mack. The Eagles defeated Morgan State on the road last weekend and will have a bye weekend this week. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Ryan.
Well, pretty much, just talk about your plans during the bye week as it comes at a much-needed time with only 3 games left, and just talk about the plans for your team and your staff.
You hit it right on the nail. We played 8 weeks consistently in a row. I think we're due a bye week. We got some bodies that's a little banged up, so we're going to use the bye week to really get back to fundamentals, continue to develop our young guys, and also just get some rest for those guys that's been taking a lot of reps over the last 3 weeks.
And last week's game reminded me of the Norfolk game in which you had an early lead and everyone assumed what the outcome was, but Morgan came charging back and then it turned into a dogfight in the last part of fourth quarter. Just talk about last week's game and just your team's ability once again to overcome those obstacles that's put in front of them.
But I think if you don't have any struggle, you don't have any progress. And last week was a big struggle for us as we lost our starting quarterback probably in the second quarter. And, our starting linebacker, he went down with an injury as well. So, that presented some issues as far as going into the second half, trying to overcome that adversity. I was very proud of the team, the way they competed and the things they did. They showed a lot of character coming back from being down and then without some of the key players still being able to overcome and win the game.
And lastly, you probably fielded this question 20 times, but how is the status of your quarterback?
Oh, those guys are fine. The bye week couldn't come at a better time. You're going to use this time to just rest them and just make sure everything is good to go for the next couple of weeks against Delaware State.
Thank you, Coach. And we'll now open up the call for questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, to register for a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4 on your telephone. Our first question comes from the line of Trevin Jones with SBN Sports. Please go ahead.
Coach Mack, how you doing, Coach?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. Hey, Coach, is this the time I have your permission to ask about the future schedule? Because I know coaches go one game at a time. And since you're in a bye week, can I ask you about the next 3 games that you're about to play?
I won't have much information for you. We've been really concentrating on doing a lot of quality control work and focusing on Delaware State. I haven't even watched those other people.
Okay, and that's a fair question. Fair answer. And the reason I was asking that, you're in the midst of a 6-game winning streak. You get a week off, and then you're going to finish with Delaware State and Howard, and then North Carolina A&T. As you prepare for Delaware State, this seems like this is a team that's gaining momentum as well. Their win-loss record could be better, of course, but they have a couple of running backs that are dangerous. What are you seeing as you prepare for them?
That's what I see. I think Coach Carter's done a great job of recruiting 2 talented running backs. We played against them last year. The other one's a freshman. Those guys are dynamic. They put out a lot of good numbers in some games. You can tell their offensive line has gotten a lot better from when we played last year, and they're starting to execute plays a lot better. Offensively, they've gotten a lot better. They got a new defensive coordinator. He's doing some different things than they did the year before, and he's presenting some challenges to different people's offenses. So I can see that team improving each and every week. And we got to just make sure that we go down there and we're well rested and take care of business.
And has your team gotten a lot healthier since the start of the season? Because I know you had some bumps and bruises as the season progressed.
Well, I think they've been pushing through. I think that's the thing that I'm very proud of this team of doing. They continue to push through all the adversity, the bumps and bruises. Those guys are finding a way to step on the field and give us all they got every week. So we're going to make sure we use this time to try to rehab some of those injuries, try to strengthen some of those guys with different body parts, and just make sure that we're well rested. 8 weeks is a long time. 8 weeks in a row is a long time to just continue to play a lot of football. So we got to make sure we do our job as coaches and as a training staff to make sure they're ready for this last 3-game stretch.
And again, I might have asked you this last week, Coach, and forgive me if I did, but you always seem to have the team peaking when necessary, when it's time to make that run for the MEAC championship. And you did it last season. You're doing it. It looks like you're doing it again this season. What's the key to that recipe?
We focus on trying to get better every week, and I think the longer the season goes, like right now, this is where everything they've pretty much seen all the different looks they're going to see. Constant repetition, they're constantly doing the same thing in practice. It's just, I'm big on consistency and trying to make sure we do have the same similar routine and just the quality of young men. When you hit that 8-9 week mark, it just seems like it all starts to clicking and they start to take what the coach has been telling them all year to another level. And that's what I think I'm seeing right now. I'm really interested in getting this rest and then see how we perform next week against Delaware State.
Right. Coach, I appreciate you. Thank you. I've heard coaches say everybody gets a win in a bye week, so congratulations on the win this week and get some rest.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Lute Williams with a Black College Sports Page. Please proceed with your question.
Let me try to remember what I was listening so much I almost forgot my question, Coach. What did Malcolm hurt? How did he get hurt on Saturday?
He took a nice shot to the upper body. He couldn't finish the game, but we came back and reviewed him on Sunday, and he should be fine.
Okay, and so obviously with the time off, you're not sure but from what you're speculating at this point, he should be fine to start when you get back on the field against Del State.
Oh yeah, he'll be in practice today and he'll be good to go.
Oh, okay. How much concerned are you about these late game escapes?
Not really concerned. I mean, I was more proud than anything because, Malcolm Bell is a big part of what we do offensively. And for Nair Ramadan to come in, and I think it was 6 of 8 and throw a touchdown and convert some third downs, keep the chains moving, I think that just speaks volumes to what we've been doing to try to develop him as a player. I think one thing is, we've had some struggles here in the last part of the season, so our team knows how to come back. They know when we're down in tight situations that they could continue to believe and they continue to overcome. And I think that's the mark of a true championship team. Without any struggle, there's no progress, and that's one thing that we've been doing this year. We've had our struggles here and there, but we still have been able to overcome those struggles, and that's one thing I'm proud of is the most.
Appreciate it, Coach. Good luck on your off week.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Jonas Pope from the Birmingham Herald-Sun. Please proceed with your question.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Hey, Jonas, what's going on?
Happy belated birthday to you.
Thank you.
And of course, I got to ask about Malcolm a little bit more. You said he took a hard shot. Was it ever ruled a concussion or just a head injury after the game?
More of a head injury after the game, and they never solidified as a concussion after the game. So, I think he should be fine. Well, I know he's gonna be fine.
If you guys had to play Saturday, would he be able to go?
I think so. I mean, we're just taking all the precaution. We're taking all the precaution right now just to make sure that everything is good with him. But yeah, I mean, if we play Saturday, he'll be fine.
Okay. Will he be limited at all this week in practice, or just business as usual for him?
No, he will be limited. He's been running the ball quite a bit this year. We just want to make sure that we give his body a chance to rest. We're going to try to get a lot of those young guys some more work this week in practice.
And I was going to ask you this. I know last week after the game you said you have a special package for Nair Ramadan. Would these next 2 weeks give you a chance to kind of open up the playbook for him a little bit?
Just to fine-tune some things more than anything. We want to fine-tune the things for him, and we want to take a look at some of our down-the-line guys, some of our freshman quarterbacks as well. So, our package for Nair really doesn't change very much. I think it's in the base part of it's in the base core of what we do offensively every day anyway. So any special plays or any new things that we look at, we're probably not going to really handle that with Nair anyway.
Okay. And also, what's the status on LeGrand Harley?
He's still day-to-day.
Okay. And I'm day-to-day, okay. With the bye week coming up, will you more so kind of look back and review the first half of the season, or you guys just going to move forward, prepare for Delaware State this week, or use this week to kind of worry about yourselves?
Both. We'll be doing some in-house quality control work, look at some tendencies on certain down and distances, certain situations in the football game, just so we can make sure that we don't, give away too many tendencies going forward these last 3 football games. But also, too, we're going to do some preliminary work on Delaware State just to stay ahead of the curve as well.
And I know you mentioned the bye week could have come at a better time. Do you expect to get some other guys back, like Quentin Atkinson, expected to come back soon for the guys?
I think so. We're going to ramp him up some this week, let him run around and see how he feels. I think our receiver corps has been doing a really good job, but anytime you get to add another player to that core like a Quentin Atkinson, I think it only helps. So, yeah, we'll look at Quentin this week and see if he'd be ready to go by Delaware State.
And then I know you said Malcolm's taking a lot of hits and he did a lot of running around. Will he be a full go next week in preparation for the Delaware State game?
Yes, he will.
I appreciate it, Coach.
No problem, Jonas.
Our next question comes from Ty Miller with Sheridan Broadcasting Network. Please proceed with your question.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon to you. How are you?
How you doing, Ty?
I'm good. Coach, this season looks a whole lot like last season when after your non-conference game, you ran the non-conference games, except Bethune-Cookman. You ran the table in the MEAC. So have you drawn that parallel, and does it seem similar to you in that respect?
In some retrospect, it does, but I think the difference is, I think we had lost a game. Like you said, we had lost to Bethune-Cookman this time last year. We never been this long undefeated in the conference. So, we're learning from a lot of our mistakes that we had in the past. We've been able, like 2 years ago, we played Morgan State in similar situations, homecoming, windy situation, and they came back and they beat us. And this past week, we were able to overcome that and end up beating them. So it is some similarities as far as, where the team sits and what we've been doing. But also, too, I do think we're a little bit better than we've been in the last couple of years as well.
Coaches often talk about they can't lose during bye week, but how do you assure that you and your team win to keep doing the same things you did prior to it? How do you win bye week?
I think you got to just make sure that your team gets enough rest and recovery. A lot of times the bye week for certain teams, they come at that mid-season point or maybe after the second or third game of the season. For us, we play 8 games straight, and that's a lot of football to be going 8 weeks straight, especially trying to make a championship run down the stretch. So one thing we got to make sure we do is get enough rest and get enough recovery to get these guys off their feet, but at the same time doing enough work that we can make sure that we're still fine-tuned going into the next week preparation.
And finally, Coach, this is not a football question, but, in terms of what's coming up, we have the elections coming up on November 8th. Have you spoken to your team, or have they discussed, about making sure that they get out to vote and whether or not they're registered, even though the North Carolina deadline has passed? Have there been discussions about that and making sure that they're active in terms of taking part in civic participation?
Yeah, we try to inform and we try to enlighten our guys about the things that's going on in the world, all the time. We constantly have team meetings, and position coaches do a great job of discussing, have forums in their own position meetings, and we also do some things on Monday on our day off to make sure that we inform them as well. So I think they're pretty informed as far as what's going on in this current election, and also too just the things that we're facing as a nation right now.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have no further phone questions at this time.